Hi guys, it's Deeksha and I've reviewed the Micromax Canvas 6 for you. This smartphone was launched alongside the Canvas 6 Pro. Both of these smartphones sport different set of specifications and are targeted at two different sets of consumers. The Canvas 6 which I have is targeted at lifestyle audience, which means people who use their phones continuously, not heavily, continuously. I'm going to run you through the specifications of the smartphone quickly and then we'll talk about it in detail. The Micromax Canvas 6 sports a 5.5-inch Full HD display. It's powered by a MediaTek MT6753 processor, which is an octa-core processor clocked at 1.3 GHz. Gets 3 GB of RAM and 32 GB of built-in memory. It's the first smartphone from Micromax to offer 32 GB of built-in storage. Apart from that, it gets a fingerprint reader and runs Android Lollipop version 5.1. The primary camera is 13 megapixels and the front camera is rated at 8 megapixels. And the phone is backed by a 3000 mAh battery. The Micromax Canvas 6 comes with a full metal uni-body design. It's the first smartphone from Micromax to do so. The overall design of the phone looks appealing to the eyes. It comes in this champagne gold variant that we have right here. The finish on the back panel is matte. The overall design looks slightly inspired by the Nexus 6P with this plastic inlay that you see on the top. Now, while the overall design feels nice and the build of the phone is really good, it's slippery. Other than that, it's a bulky smartphone. Now, the thickness of this phone works for the smartphone because had it been slim, it would have slipped right through your hands. Because it's a uni-body smartphone, you get a SIM tray on the left edge of the phone. The fingerprint sensor has been placed on the back. Apart from that, the rest of the port placement remains standard. Overall, the design of the Micromax Canvas 6 is neither absolutely stunning nor disappointing. It's something you can definitely flaunt. With the screen resolution that we mentioned earlier, the display on the Micromax Canvas 6 is pretty sharp and the colors look really vivid. The viewing angles are decent. However, one issue that I have with the Canvas 6's display is the brightness. While it seems adequate indoors, the display looks completely washed out outdoors. The sunlight legibility is poor. Apart from that, the screen does not come protected by any reinforced glass, so you might have to invest in a tempered glass or screen protector because my screen got scratched a bunch of times while I was using it. The processor on this phone is old, and it's something that I'm used to seeing on budget smartphones, not on mid-range smartphones. That said, it works for everyday use. If you're online shopping, you're chatting with friends, you're surfing through web, the processor is perfect. And that is what the company intends with the Canvas 6, so that is a plus. However, I didn't let the phone go just after regular usage, and I played games like the Asphalt 8 and Dead Trigger 2 on the smartphone. While I understand that the Canvas 6 was targeted at lifestyle users, it didn't have to completely disappoint when it came to heavy usage. The games took an eternity to load, there was a lot of lag and jitters, and the graphics rendering was poor. Apart from that, this phone warms up a little bit after heavy usage, which is justified. The temperatures do not rise up to uncomfortable levels at all. The multitasking capabilities on the Canvas 6 are average. Just like I said, if you're shopping online or chatting with friends simultaneously, that will happen without any hassle. But if you're playing a very heavy game and then you switch to another app, you might see a slight lag or stutter. While we're at the topic of overall performance, let's talk about the call quality. Now, this is an issue that we do not address very deeply because making calls is something we expect from any phone to do. But boy, does this phone has issues. It was very difficult for any other person to hear my voice when I made calls from this phone, and I switched between 3 carrier networks. Now, before we jump on to talking about the software of the phone, I'm going to quickly tell you about the fingerprint reader on this phone. The fingerprint sensor on the Canvas 6 is not the fastest that I've seen. It's slightly slow, however, it's accurate. Every time I tried to unlock the smartphone with my fingerprint, it didn't miss. You can set a total of 5 fingerprints on the Canvas 6, which can also be used to lock any app apart from locking the phone. Now let's jump to talking about the software on this phone. The UI on the Canvas 6 is pretty much stock, but you don't notice a difference in the icons. The phone comes with a lot of preloaded apps which include the likes of Amazon India, Quicker, Scanded, a bunch of games, UC Browser, Opera Mini, and a lot of them. And that is exactly why out of the 32 GB built-in storage, you get 25 GB for your personal use. When you swipe right from the primary home screen, You get access to the Micromax's Around app, which is basically your one-stop shop to everything. You can basically find places to eat, shop online, book a cab, book flight tickets, book a hotel, or even recharge your mobile or data or DTH connections. The Micromax Canvas 6 comes with two launchers. One is Steroid, which is the default launcher that you see on this phone, and the other is called Apis. Now, as it is, the phone does not come with a lot of customization options, but the Apis launcher gives you an option to apply themes, change wallpapers and stuff like that on the smartphone. However, the launcher in itself looks a little gimmicky and I didn't like using it. The overall UI looked really messy. Now that I've told you about everything that's there in the software of the Micromax Canvas 6, we're going to talk about what's missing. The Micromax Canvas 6 does not feature any gestures or motions, which is a little disappointing because smartphones priced at Rs 8,000 or 9,000 these days come with those features. Apart from that, because the UI is stock and it's Android 5.1, you do not get the clear all options in the recent apps, which most of us have gotten used to. Overall, the UI on the Micromax Canvas 6 is decent. Apart from the couple of qualms that I just told you about, you have the Apis launcher for you to customize the phone if you want to. Otherwise, there's plain old stock, which is never a negative. Now about the cameras on the Canvas 6. First thing first, let's check out the default camera app. There's nothing new or surprising about the camera app of the Canvas 6. It's something that you would have seen on any budget smartphone from Micromax lately. You get a very packed viewfinder with options like HDR mode, smile shot, live photo mode, motion tracking mode and beauty mode. If you slide up from the bottom in the viewfinder, you get a bunch of real-time filters that you can apply while clicking. Apart from that, there's this setting toggle that lets you access all the usual camera settings like exposure, white balance, ISO, picture size, etc. While the cameras are rated at 13 and 8 megapixels for the primary and secondary cameras respectively, it's not the best cameras in the segment. The overall picture quality in any picture that we took was just average. The long shots looked dull and they blurred when I zoomed into them, however they looked sharp enough on the screen. While the camera managed to capture a good amount of detail in the macro shot, the overall image quality of that image was also just decent. While the shutter speed is not amazing as it is, in low light the camera struggles a bit too much. There was a lot of noise in the low light shots that we took and the flash seemed to burn out the subject a little bit. As a matter of fact, even the night shots were pretty disappointing with a lot of grain in the image. Even the front camera takes average selfies. Not awesome, but not bad. Here, have a look at two selfies that I clicked outdoors in daylight and one that I clicked indoors in artificial light. I reviewed the Canvas 5 as well, and one of the issues that I had with that phone was its cameras. It's a little disappointing to say that I have not seen much improvement. Let's talk about the battery of the Canvas 6 now. On our standard battery test, the phone lasted for just 8.5 hours, which is actually not a very impressive result. Interestingly, in actual usage, it lasts more than a day. To give you an idea, I woke up at 3 AM in the morning to catch a flight and this phone was completely charged at that point of time. Both the SIM slots had 4G connectivity and 4G data was running on one of the SIM as well. As a matter of fact, I created a Wi-Fi hotspot to use the 4G data on my other phone as well, and I did this throughout the day. I felt the need of charging this phone when just 10% of the battery was left, and that was at 9 in the night. So overall, this is a really good performer when it comes to battery life. Time for the verdict. This is a big step up for Micromax. Inclusion of a fingerprint sensor, offering a full metal body are steps in the right direction, but they're not enough. Let's put it this way. In a college where kids are joining societies, managing stuffs, doing extracurriculars, Micromax is like a student just trying to score well in exams. That's not bad, but you know extracurriculars has their points. You have the likes of Xiaomi Redmi Note 3 and the Moto G4 Plus, which sport far better specifications and performance than the Canvas 6. I would recommend the smartphone only if you're a die-hard Micromax fan. Otherwise, there are better options out there. If the video helped, give it a thumbs up. If you have any query about the Canvas 6 or any other smartphone for that matter, leave the questions in the comment box below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Subscribe to our channel to get daily updates on everything technology. Till then, it's Deeksha telling you to keep your tech game up with 91mobiles.com.